Hi, I'm James Schillinglaw. I'm here aboard the new MSC Seashore with Michelle Fee, who coincidentally just happens to own one of the largest cruise sellers in the business, Cruise Planners. She's the founder and CEO, and we've talked to her many times, obviously, but we're here to talk a little bit about Cruise Planners. They just had their conference about a month ago, and we did write something, but we're going to talk some more about that and a whole lot more on Insider Travel Report. Michelle, first of all, it's great to see you on board this wonderful thing.
In person.
In person, it is pretty crazy. We've done a lot of Zoom things over the last time, but now we're back to in person.
Absolutely, it feels so good, no doubt.
Yeah, now let's talk a little bit about that conference you had just a month ago. How did it go? What was it you considered a success?
I think it was a huge success. And I think everyone that's doing in-person meetings now is just feeling the vibe. You know, agents are coming in and they are just so excited to be together. And, you know, when you're together, things happen. People are just feeling like we are back, things are rolling. You know, they become more positive, and you know, our conference was no exception. People were just excited to be there, meeting their reps, their suppliers, all of us from the home office. Lots and lots and lots of hugs.
Absolutely, lots of hugs. You had about 700 travel advisors and suppliers down there, right?
That's exactly right.
You had it in land this year in Mexico, right?
We did. We were just concerned when we started our conference. You have to do those things 8-10 months in advance. And we just weren't sure. And when we were calling some of our cruise suppliers, they were like, we don't know. And so we thought we'd better be safe than sorry.
Now that's great, but of course next year you'll be back to being on a cruise ship, although you actually sell a lot of all-inclusives too, so it was good to be there. And so next year I believe you're going to be on Norwegian Prima, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so that's about a year from now. So let's talk a little bit about the health of Cruise Planners and all of your members. Where are you right now today? Is everything getting back to what passes for normal?
Yes, thank God. We are really moving forward. Things are really happening at Cruise Planners. Agents are seeing their phones starting to ring. You know, futures for Cruise Planners are through the roof. You know, we're looking at numbers and we're basing them off of 19, obviously not off of 20. And you know, we know we're starting the year 24% ahead of where we were same time.
That's amazing, right?
It's just.
And that's even all including the FCCs and all that kind of thing, right?
Well, if the FCCs are booked, if they're not, that doesn't even include them.
Right. So how did you kind of survive as an organization through this?
Yeah, I think we survived by sticking together. You know, it was twofold. First of all, we realized with our agents, communication was huge. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they heard from someone at home office, just like what's going on, you know, what can we expect, you know, where do we pivot our business to. And of course, in the short term, it was just staying in communication with their customers, and we were trying to help them do that, or we were doing it on their behalf. And then it quickly came to like, okay, people are comfortable with traveling, but traveling short distances. So where in their local market could people travel to? And we just started, again, pivoting our marketing to, you know, what the consumer's demand was. I mean, we were selling RV rentals. I mean,
why not?
we didn't care. We just wanted to always continually have making sure that our customers were thinking about travel, because we know when things calm down, people will pick up. I always say travel isn't going out of business. People aren't afraid to travel per se. It's just during this time frame, it was a pause. And now people are saying, you know what, I'm vaccinated, I'm ready to roll, you know, where can you send me? And we're seeing it at this point. We're seeing the response. But we were doing everything we could to make sure we were highly communicating with our agents and highly communicating with their consumers.
Now, and of course you did shift, you became, and you already were a large seller of all-inclusives, but you became even a bigger seller because that's where people could go in Mexico and the Caribbean, especially Mexico. You know, that's where I was down there a lot too, and that's what people were selling, right?
Well, it's pretty hard to sell a cruise when there wasn't a ship in the water for 15 months. So, you know, again, we wanted to make sure that we kept our agents as whole as possible. And yeah, I mean, it was difficult, but we kind of moved the pendulum to the other side, and we just started hammering all inclusives and future cruise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In future cruise. Now, did you have a net loss or a net gain of advisors during this period?
So we had a little net loss, but it was more agents that just never really developed.
Right.
But we brought on agents, and we laugh every single time we do a class, a newbie class. I say to them, "Oh my gosh, you guys just bought a travel franchise company in the middle of a pandemic." And so,
are you crazy? No.
Are you crazy? But you know what? I think they're super smart because it is giving them time to develop and put in process and educate themselves. And so when the boom happens, they're ready to roll. And the boom is happening.
The boom is happening right now. Everybody that I talk to say 22 is going to be great and 23 is going to be off the charts.
Exactly. And that we're seeing the same exact thing. We have never buffered ourselves so far ahead like 22. 22 is amazing. 23 and even 24. And you know, the World Cruises, we all know, like they're selling out before they.
Everybody has a World Cruise. Every other week, some line is saying, and I can't remember, did you ever have a World Cruise? Is this new for you? And some of them are brand new. And I'm like, you're having a World Cruise? Of course, we always think World Cruise, there's a new definition of World Cruise. Like, it doesn't go around the world anymore, but it can go this massive multi-day cruises, right?
It's exactly right. And they are selling, and they are our hot commodity because some of them are opening them up and they're selling out within hours or days. So it's pretty exciting. Travel is travel is back.
Now, even during the pandemic, you were busy.
We were busy.
I mean, I tell everybody, we have time to reflect. I said, I didn't have time for reflect. I was adding more content and doing all kinds of things, but you did the same. You were. What are some of the new programs that you put together? I think you introduced them at the show, and a lot of people already knew about them. But what were some of the key ones that you brought in? And we'll talk about tools and technology after this. But what were the overall? I know all-inclusive plan. That was one, right?
That's right. So we realized that the majority of our agents sold cruise. We do have agents that only sell land, but for those that sold cruise, all of a sudden now they're like saying, I don't know a thing about any land all-inclusive vacations. So I don't know if it's a family, where do I send them? If it's a honeymoon, where do I send them? If it's luxury, what all-inclusive is luxury? So we built an entire database for them so that they can just plug in who their customers are, what the demographics are, and it will bring to the top those top 10 all-inclusives that they should be looking at for that particular customer. So we made things a little bit easier.
And then you had another program called Where To Next that you started, right?
So, and I think the brainchild came from our own agents. So I kept seeing on our board, on our Facebook board, that our agents were doing these Zoom meetings. And, at first when we all went home, it was like, Zoom, what is Zoom? I don't even know what Zoom is.
But none of us knew what it was.
Right. So now here they're doing these Zoom meetings with a particular supplier for their little local market, and they were becoming very successful. So I read that and I took it back to the team and I said, what if we do this, but globally for them? So we'll pull from their database who is the right customer for this particular webinar that we're going to do, and then we'll send out the invitations, we'll do the presentation, we'll make sure that there's a really targeted, really rich promotion, and then we'll run the entire event, and then we'll follow up for them as well. And I got to tell you, just last year, it drove over $20 million in sales that I'm not sure that we would have had otherwise.
So beyond these programs, you're famous for your technology, your tools that you develop, and you haven't stopped. If you want to see a full list of all the new things you did, you can look at the article, search for Cruise Planners, and you'll see all the different things that you did over the past year. But talk maybe about 2 or 3 or 4 of them that really resonated and you think are going to be big winners for you. So
before I do that, I just want to say that I'm really proud of my team, because what we did was we tried to figure out how we wouldn't take a hatchet to our home office team members and keep as many of them as we could employed, so that during this time, this little pause in service, we could really focus in on things that we wanted to do. And we have a technology company, and so that technology company, it's owned by Cruise Planners, really, we sat with them and we're like, okay, we need to take this time because twofold. Of course, there's a lot of technology that we want to build that would be consumer facing, that would help us drive consumer business. But at the end of the day, agents don't have good tools. They don't have good tools to kind of look at their business. And so we built one thing called a SOAR dashboard. And that is basically what are their strengths. Now, every single agent gets a coach at Cruise Planners. So I think this is one thing that really differentiates us. And they're able to call out and say, if you were one of our agents, hey, James, let's look at your SOAR dashboard. What are your strengths? What are you doing really well, and how do we grow upon that? But then are there little opportunities? Are there little things that you could be doing that if you tweak them, it really hits your bottom line? Right. And then what do you aspire to achieve? What are your goals? Where do you want to be at the end of this? But, when we look at all of that, nothing means anything if you're not driving results, measurable results. And so we're able to show them all of this on this dashboard. Now they can view it themselves daily, or they can go over it like, most people do with the suppliers. They send us, monthly reports or weekly reports, and we can go over it together. It's the same concept of, what are you doing well, but what are your opportunities? So that was a huge announcement. And also, social media. Social media is where it's at, but we needed to step it up a notch.
Like social CP, they call it, right?
Yeah, CP Social.
CP Social, I got it there.
But, most hosts franchises have a program where they post for their agents, right? Well, we did that. We've been doing that for years. But now we're thinking, okay, how do we step it up a notch? And we realized that maybe it's, driving some market share through social media. And how do we do that? And how do we drive it back to our agents in their local markets? So that's the next.
That's the next one. Okay.
Yeah.
And you got a third one?
There were 20.
There are 20.
Help me.
White label websites?
Oh, yeah, there you go. That's another really, really great one. So, a lot of our agents have really great relationships with local businesses, but they never had a way to, help them drive business from, maybe they could put a page up on their website. Now we're building these white labeled websites. So if it's a car dealership, it would be through their website, and we would, have a white label attached to it about travel. And
so you can connect with local businesses and everything.
Right, and we help you drive that. And we create beautiful, professional looking site, so you don't look like you created a website from a garage or your 13-year-old did it. Right. So we have graphic designers and people behind the scenes, like building sites. We can upload special pricing for you. Maybe Cruise Planners has an exclusive deal that will all go on there. And then the agent has full autonomy and to kind of upload whatever they feel like they want to offer to this particular business.
No, that's a great product, and I'm sure you're going to do well with that. And then you have upcoming, and not ready yet, but your hotel booking engine, which I think is going to be first quarter next year sometime, right?
Yep. We're working really hard on it. We're really getting close, and we'll probably be the only host franchise in the models that has their own hotel booking tool. It's going to be really unique for our agents because they're going to be able to drive pricing, commission. They're going to have like a toggle where they're going to be able to decide what they want to charge their customers. So we're really excited about this. This is going to definitely give our agents a real price advantage.
No, that's great. Now, and of course for next year you have a full schedule of live events, right?
We do, yay! So we've actually been doing a few this year, and I'm just so proud to say that we have our own protocol set up. We did an all-inclusive in Mexico, which doesn't really require you to bring COVID tests or be vaccinated or anything like that. And we didn't have one case of COVID that anybody.
Actually, these events have been happening, but there have been almost every event I've had so far, somebody came out with it, but usually not in a bad way. Right. Maybe there are a couple of cases. I mean, I've heard 100 sometimes in some larger events than I was at a few of those.
700 people, and and we expected a couple cases, and when we didn't hear of any we were, extremely excited about that.
So are we back to normal now almost?
I'm not sure we're exactly back to normal, but we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're
Absolutely.
getting there.
Now, throughout all this, what have you learned, both personally and also as an organization, about, based on the pandemic? What is there something good that's come out of this? I don't know.
Well, there have been. I think there have been, some things that we probably, like the Where To Next, would have never happened. So, there are those, rainbows at the end of whatever at some point in time. But, I guess at the end of it, I look at how Cruise Planners has survived. And, I know I wouldn't be here if I didn't surround myself with the best team. And they have surrounded me. There were days when, like everyone, you feel like you want to have your own pity party. And they just said, Michelle, we can do this. We're here to help you. We will get you through it. And not only the executives and my home office team, but even our advisors were reaching out and saying, thank you for communicating with us. We need to hear from you. We need to know where we're at. And then at the end of the day, personally, I think I realized I'm a little bit stronger than I thought I was. And, being strong, was probably my only choice. But, at the end of the day,
we didn't have any other choice, right?
Didn't have any other choice. And so...
No, so, and of course you did expand dramatically in some other categories, all-inclusive, luxury, places that, obviously you've had the strength, your strength has always been in cruising, and you were looking at land a lot before, but you really had to kind of at the end, right?
Yeah, forced our hand, and, we're glad that in a sense it did, because now we have, a complete land program that we will be able to develop a little further. And I mean, the hotel booking engine is going to, be a game changer.
Now, anything else you want to tell travel advisors out there about Cruise Planners, about what the future holds?
Yeah, I'd just say, what, hang in there. I think we're all almost at the end of this horrible time, but I think we've all stuck it out. And if you've stuck it out already, man, you're at the, we all talk about that long dark tunnel. We're out of the dark tunnel. Ships are in water. We're on one. They're beautiful. They're running very successfully. Actually, we talked this morning about the fact that it's probably one of the safest places you could be, where everyone's.
I keep telling me people, and people still don't believe it. I said, you're crazy. This is everyone is vaccinated. Everyone has been tested. And yes, is there going to be some? And they also know how to handle it now.
Correct.
They don't just turn the cruise around. Ports aren't just denying entry. It's not like it was, a year ago. So it's a different situation, right?
Correct. I think we were dealt an unfair hand, but today, cruisers are ready to cruise. I think the last hurdle is the masks. If we can get rid of the masks, I think you're going to be able to drive a lot more cruisers back on the ships.
I agree. Well, Michelle, it's been great to catch up here on yet another cruise. This is actually interesting. We're actually on a cruise ship. We used to do this all the time, and now it's become sort of odd because we're all there. Now, not for me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know about you, but I've been on more cruises so far this year than anywhere else, and it's safe. It's a great way to travel, and I'm trying to convince more people to get out there. And you out there, convince your clients that this is a safe form of travel. It's really,
I think we have to tell a story, and that's what us advisors, that's our job going into 2022, is to make sure you're getting out there and telling as many people as you can about what's happening in the cruise segment, and that it's safe to get back on board.
Safe to get back in the water again, absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Michelle, great to see you again. I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.